right, hello. We are live here with the Season 9 award show. I am your host, Time Consumer, also here with host Jiggly. How you doing, Jiggly?
Hi. They didn't kick me out this time.
Good news. We're obviously here just to give you kind of a rundown of everyone who did really well this season, Season 9, both rookies, vets alike, GMs, all of it. Of course, I know a lot of people are just starting to trickle in. We got people probably watching Twitch ads right now. So we are just going to kind of waffle around for a little bit while we wait for people to get in here. Going to be keeping an eye on Twitch chat. So if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, you know, don't like who we voted for, by all means, go ahead, hit us in chat, and we'll try and keep an eye on that.
I didn't vote for anyone.
Jiggly didn't vote for anyone, except most outstanding
Did you?
player. Yeah, I vote for most.
Are you in? Oh, okay. Yeah, you're head office. The head office
I
votes for it.
am
It's
I
not
am
the
not head
awards
office, no
committee.
sir.
Wait, then. Okay,
No,
now I'm really
I
confused.
I, I do not have a vote for any of the main awards. I just can vote for most outstanding, like every other player can.
Oh yeah, but so yeah, it's not us who votes for the position stuff and that sort of thing. That's voted on by a group of it's head office and all of the GMs within the league.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to say there's how many that do it? I want to say there's what, six, seven head office and like nine GMs, 10 GMs. I don't know. Some
Yeah.
people don't have co's who all vote for it.
Yeah, sometimes people just decide not to vote. I think I did that when I was a DSFL GM. But speaking of DSFL, the DSFL draft, we've got some fun recreates here. Uh, with Mike Boss, he's retiring, so he's got a nice recreate there. He's also recreating once again as a QB, which is really interesting right now because there's a lot of QBs out there.
There's some other exciting players who have jumped in from other leagues that we've seen. From either
Ty
SHL,
Justice.
EFL, Score. We've seen a lot of people who are familiar names and some new ones. So
Yeah.
that draft is DSL draft is next week on Sunday. No, this week on Sunday. We're gonna be streaming that live, so it's gonna be exciting to see some of those new names. And if you are just joining us here and just got finished watching your Twitch ad, we are just kind of killing time right now, waiting for everyone to get into the stream. So if you're just trying to figure out what the hell we're talking about, not a whole lot.
If you hear, just say something in the chat so that we know that you can hear us.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to do the announcement. Maybe that's why no one's in the thing
Yeah,
yet. I'm sitting here, man, there's only 5 viewers.
only five
Now we're down to
people.
3. Yeah, I forgot to hit the announcement in the tag. So, great. Glad to know that the 5 people who decided to stick around and listen to us were, had
We're here.
they were following the channel and had the notifications.
Well, I have notifications on my phone, but it's an email and I hate it.
1999 was a good year.
That's the year I was born. And now you feel old, don't you?
Nah. Okay, so yeah, looks like we finally got some people who are joining us in the chat. We've been sitting here talking to no one for a few minutes now, not realizing that I had forgotten to make
We've
the
gone down to
announcement.
three.
So glad to see everyone's in here. I know we're going to wait a few minutes for everyone to start trickling in, uh, as we do. And once we get the award show started here, feel free to go ahead, ask us questions, comments, all that over in Twitch chat. We're keeping an eye on that. Of course,
Yep.
you have me and Jiggly here.
Hi.
So yeah, we're excited. We're gonna get started here in just a couple minutes. We were talking just a moment ago about just kind of how we got the draft coming up in a couple of days for both the NSFL, and then shortly after that we have the DSFL draft. We're going to be streaming those for you guys as well. So really exciting stuff. We got a ton of really cool prospects. These are some of the best 2 drafts I've seen in a long time, Season 10 and Season 11.
Yeah. We got. We were talking about. I was mentioning recreates earlier, but there's also a couple of new people like McKee 29. His guy Antonio Summer. This guy, I believe he's one of the people on Discord who's been pretty vocal. So it's nice to have new people being all into it already.
Yeah, we got this one guy, Zach Evans. I don't know. He's pretty vocal. I wish he'd stop talking so much personally, but excited to see that new defensive tackle get out there.
And it's really funny. Zach Evans is currently trashing me on the chat right now, talking about my mic quality. That's because I don't care about SCOR. I care about NSFL, and here we're getting into it.
All right. So I think we've probably had enough time for people to get in here and quit watching Twitch ads. So I think pretty much everyone should be here. So let's go ahead and get started with our Season 9 award show.
All right,
So, first up, Ultimate's winner. If you don't know this already, I'm sorry. Um,
the Duke Dudes.
And there we go. We have for the New Orleans second line with a 14-2 record, 12-2 in the regular season, of course 2-0 in the postseason, beating up the Baltimore Hawks. Really tight game. Beat up the Otters in the conference championship. And I think everyone can really be excited about the team that they put together after the hardships that this team and this franchise went through during the Las Vegas days in order to come back and put up
Yes.
really historically one of the best teams we've ever seen as far as both offensive and defensive performances.
Oh God, like it. They're just amazing. They almost absolutely demolished every single game. I thought they were going to go undefeated. They seem like the sort of team that, honestly, if they didn't have any sort of regression, they would be undefeated this next season. Which I don't think they really have too many players in regression right now.
You know, they did lose a few. Had a couple retirees. Vincent Sharpay, he's done. That was his last
Yeah.
season. Fuego Wozy, that was his last season as well. So, a couple of people aren't going to be there. I have full faith in that organization and Bovo as a GM to help keep them chugging on next year. So, congratulations to all Nola. You guys really did a great job. Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, really, the whole everything that Bova's done. I think we can get into it a bit later, but he's really just. I don't think anyone truly expected it to be this good for them. So we moving on here.
Oh, yeah. Up next, we have our defensive rookie of the year. So, couple of rookies. There weren't a lot playing up at the top level this year. A lot of the guys did, stay down, that sort of thing. Couple familiar names: Bucky Barnes, free safety at Arizona, and Alexander Thibault here. Those were the two who got votes. Obviously, we did have a few more that had some pretty good seasons. We had a couple defensive tackles, like David and Brown. We had Oscar Ludwig, the corner, and so a few guys doing pretty well for us. But these two were the ones that got the votes, and I'd have to agree, both really had some pretty good seasons. Um, Overall, we had Bucky Barnes, 73 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, and Alexander Thibault scored 55 tackles, 4 interceptions, 5 pass defenses. So one seems to be a little bit more of that kind of in the box safety getting sacks. The other one a bit more that center fielder sitting in the back and getting some picks.
Yeah, it's just the difference between being coverage or being, I guess, a pass rusher
Physical.
or run support. Yeah,
Physical.
physical.
All right, let's see what we've got. And it goes to Bucky Barnes. So this was like I said, the guy more the box safety, got a couple of sacks, still got some picks, and a lot of tackles, over 70 tackles. So I think a good choice here by the awards committee.
Yeah.
Guy just did a little bit of everything, and you can see by the votes. Thibault got 3 votes. Barnes got 9. So definitely the favorite here, but the other guy, can't overlook him.
Yeah, he got a defensive touchdown. I mean, that's one thing to consider because he got a defensive touchdown. Barnes didn't.
Yeah, and then of course Barnes is Moose Cop. No one likes Moose Cop.
Yeah.
Up next, we have our Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, we did not have a lot of these either. This was actually, I think we had even fewer Offensive Rookies of the Year than defensive. But the two that got votes here were Kevin Fitzpatrick, KC Colby, the quarterback of Arizona, and Beat Me Off, the kicker for Philadelphia. I don't remember what his username is, however. There were a couple
I
more out there,
think I
Catcher Man, Chipmunk, Brannigan. So a few other rookies. These are the two that I think really stood out in most people's minds. Obviously, we have Kevin Fitzpatrick, pretty well for a rookie, playing at the top level. Quarterback
yeah.
is a very unforgiving position, and Beat Me Off, he did a good job. Kicker,
It's yeah, the fact that we're even considering a kicker, I really like how they had to decide whether a kicker is offensive or defensive, because really, just like I think isn't he the one who in DSFL last year was had this amazing season?
I think you're thinking of Kyle Corbett.
I was thinking of Kyle
You're thinking of the
Corbett,
Rocket Man,
whatever.
yeah.
But we are seeing a bit more of just like kickers for some reason just playing amazingly in NSFL and as with Kyle Corbett at in DSFL level. So it'd be interesting to see him win, but I don't really know about whether or not he's going to go up again. It's a quarterback versus a kicker. Who's going to win?
Well, there's your answer. The kicker wins.
Ha!
This was a close one. These votes were neck and neck. Kicker won just a small margin, so he did a very good job. But I think everything is looking really up for Kevin Fitzpatrick as well. He's earning TPE like a madman, and I'm sure this will just be a chip on his shoulder for not making offensive rookie of the year. But I expect good things from both these guys.
To be completely honest, I was looking ahead and I just saw the picture and I thought, "Oh yeah, that looks like a quarterback." I'm thinking that it's probably Fitzpatrick. Nope, no, it's beat me off.
Yeah, yeah, beat me off, getting him through the uprights.
Yep.
All right, top performance of the year. So this is the award that we give out for the best single game performance, and we had a few really good ones this year. So week 14. Dermott for Yellowknife. I am stalling because I'm trying to remember. I want to say he had 2 picks or 3. It was a lot. This is when they beat Philadelphia like 52-23, and yeah, it was 2 interceptions that game. 4 pass defense, 6 tackles. Dan Miller.
And I believe there was something about like he did something offensively as well. Somebody mentioned something.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Let me see. He has some
Yeah,
kick returns and three receiving touchdowns. Oh, that'll
there
do
we
it.
go.
Yeah, good call.
Do it on both sides.
Yeah, yeah, that's how Dermott likes it. Um, Dan Miller, week 12. Everyone knows about this performance. He smashed the single game record for sacks. He took down Logan Noble 9 times. It's unreal. Nine
So
sacks, 1 game.
hurt him as much as it feels to live in Saskatoon.
Exactly. And lastly, we have Darren Smallwood, week 8. Again, I'm going to stall here for a moment because I don't remember what Dermott did. I said
Oh,
Dermott, Darren.
I had it pulled up. It's Darren Smallwood. Yeah, that was 40 attempts, 160 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, with 7 receptions and 65 receiving yards.
So that is 225 scrimmage yards and 4 touchdowns on 47 touches. Yeah, I'd say
Yeah,
that's quality
that's pretty
stuff.
good.
That's pretty good. So
Okay, I guess. I'd like to have seen at least some sort of mention for Mark Spector in Week 1 with the 5 tackles, 3 interceptions, with a defense with a pick six and a fumble
yeah,
recovery.
that I had completely forgotten about that against San Jose. You're right. Yeah,
That was the specific thing that I remember. That's like I don't pay attention to streams, but that's one that I heard about and I liked.
yeah, he definitely gave Brad Pennington a real hard time that week. But I have a feeling I know where this one's going. And I think everyone in Twitch chat did as well, and the voters did too. This was a tough one to turn down. 9 sacks, 1 game. What do you do?
Yeah, apparently there's also the rushing yard one. That was he broke a record or something according to I think that's already
What are you talking about?
saying that he broke a rushing record, didn't he?
Who?
That I saw that in the chat.
Oh, this is a single game
Someone.
performance, so I don't
Yeah.
know if that was a record or not for 1 game.
Ah,
He might have.
doesn't sound like it.
But yeah, Dan Miller ends up with the winner here for 9 sacks. It's hard to get a
Yeah,
much
nine
bigger
sacks.
impact in a single game than
Was
getting to the
the
quarterback 9
was that
times.
other tackle a tackle for loss or no?
No, I don't think he had a TFL in there.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like it has that on this page, so
I don't know what Beaver's talking about in here. Yes, Beaver. Dan Miller did set a single game record. Smallwood did too, sure. All right, let's see what else we got.
I think he's saying that Smallwood set the single game record for most sacks instead of Dan Miller. So next is
Sure.
breakout player of the
Let's move
year.
it on here. Breakout player of the year. So this is given to a player who has been okay in the past few seasons, and then just explodes on the scene, breaks everyone's expectations. So here for breakout player, we've got three choices. We've got Ryan Applehort, quarterback for Colorado. This is Davies' player. Now, this is what, his third, fourth season, and he really did a very good job this season.
I think it's mostly because all of Colorado finally got better. They finally started hitting their stride this season.
Totally hitting their stride. They made the playoffs.
Yeah, after being like the joke team for the past 2 seasons. I mean, they might end up being NOLA after NOLA.
Well, we'll see about that. That's going to be a tough one. It's hard to really build that kind of dynasty that Nola did. They're not dynasty, but powerhouse with that kind of team that they put together.
Yeah,
But I think they got the right pieces in place for it. Carlito Crush, Orange County. So when he first came in the trade, did a couple things for his first season, broke 1,000 yards. Didn't get a lot of touchdowns. Um,
I'm a bit disappointed by that. That he got in this year and Tegan didn't get in it.
well, sometimes the voters are going to do what they want to do. Um, but he did set the Triple Crown. This is the second time in history that it's happened for a wide receiver. Triple Crown being
He
most
he he's
receptions, most
just
yards,
been
most touchdowns.
he's been absolutely amazing. I mean, Mike Boss is always helping with that sort of thing. I mean, I think the past, I think almost every single wide receiver of the year has come from Orange County.
Negative.
Almost, not
Almost, yeah.
everyone, but almost.
There's quite a few. Baltimore had some. Josh Garden got
Yeah,
one. There's plenty of other good receivers out there. And the other one, Mason Brown. So this was his second year up in the pros as a linebacker, and kind of a tough one. When you look at the stat sheet, he doesn't necessarily jump out immediately, other than tackles. He did lead the lead in tackles, but you put together all the little stuff. You only had 4 or 5 sacks, and everyone really looks at sacks a lot. He didn't do well there, but you look at pass deflections, interceptions, tackles for a loss, forced fumbles. He was up there at all of those. So really good performance from him as well. Um,
yeah, he led the league in tackles, I believe.
he did. So let's see
Yep, that's what I saw.
what the voters were doing here. And they did decide to go with Mason Brown.
Which is a bit surprising, considering. I mean, you see that Applehort got three votes there, and I mean, I think the reason why Crush didn't win it is because he already had an amazing season the season before.
That's true. And Applehort, I think you could go either way between Mason Brown and Applehort on this one. He held his own in a league with a lot of really good passers. 90.3 rating, 27 touchdowns, 4,000 yards. So very good performance on his own. But I think what probably set this apart was, like I said, you're talking about 2 interceptions, 10 pass deflections, 4 forced fumbles. Just the forced fumbles and interceptions alone, that's 6 turnovers by a linebacker. And leading the league in tackles. So, I think it really helped him stand out a lot, especially from, his only second year.
Yeah. So GMs of the year, which this is the sort of thing that I can really talk about, because we got right here we got Slim and Manic Mav with Baltimore. We got Bovo with Nola, and MP and Speculador, which is his other name is Poopy Face Tomato Nose
PFTN for short.
with the Otters. And oh, I thought you were going to take it away, but
You're good.
okay. But yeah, I think that's definitely it's to me it is between Bovo and the Otters GMs, because even though the Otters didn't win again this season, those those GMs, especially MP, have just built this dynasty, and of course you as well as a shadow GM, and I started it. But it's this whole thing of that we've continued. We haven't missed the playoffs once. I keep saying we. I'm with the race now, but the Otters haven't missed the playoffs once ever. And then we go to Bovo, who I think I'm skipping over the Hawks for some reason,
Yeah,
but
you
I,
are.
I don't really I don't really think too much about the Hawks because they're in the other conference. Well, now they're in my conference. Oh God. But you can take over with for the Hawks when I get there. But with Bovo, he took this horrible franchise, this horrible team, like already just kind of plopped down a bunch of shit in front of him, and he picked it up and he said, "I'm going to try to do something with it," and he has, and he's won it, and it's amazing. And the Hawks, you take it away.
The Hawks they're a bit of an enigma sometimes. Sometimes I've spent like 3 years in a row where I go into the preseason thinking these guys, this is the team to beat. They're going 12-2 or 13-1. Sometimes I don't know if it's the sim gods just treating them terribly or what it is that happens, but they'll fall out of it. But this is a team that is always potentially going to be a really good contender, and you can never really rule them out. I mean, yeah, we can make jokes that they've lost the Ultimates 3 times, but they've been to the Ultimates 3 times. That's no laughing matter. That's not easy. You can't win if you're not there. So I think these guys always do a great job year in, year out, and have always built a good team. They draft really well, and you can't go wrong with any of these choices. And even other GMs, Zercap is a fantastic GM. I think what Yeti are putting together is great. Philly and San Jose, they're in a bit of a slump right
They're
now.
there.
In Arizona, they're in a bit of a slump, but I think they got the right pieces in place, and I think their brains in the right spot. I like the way some of them draft and how they're doing their things. So I think all these guys really do a lot of work.
So let's see, and click over,
I love that picture.
and it's not much of a surprise. It's Bovo. It has to be Bovo.
Yeah. I mean, when you take a franchise that has been absolutely gutted due to retirement issues. I mean, they lost like what 10 guys in one day or
The mass
something,
retirement, but
and
it wasn't even just the mass retirement issue. I mean, Artie was still technically the GM, and he was off on a sabbatical in Europe. So it wasn't really a good foundation, but he did something with it, and he made something, and it's beautiful. I'm sorry for slagging off on Artie too much, but and there's some people talking about Freddie.
Freddie would be Bobo's dog.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Well, yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't be in there then.
I don't know. I mean, he's all over Discord anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so now we are up to the most dedicated member. This is an award given to people who are putting in the most work in a particular season. So,
I'm surprised to not see you here right now.
I've won too much. I haven't done a whole lot this season.
You're retired from it.
No, I didn't. I haven't done nearly as much this season as I have in past seasons, and some of these guys putting in real great work this season. Of course, 37th Chamber is leading that wiki project that has been on the horizon.
Yeah,
I can't even
that's a
imagine.
that's a pretty fun project. I love
I
it.
can't even imagine how much work is going into that and trying to herd the cats and all that. And then we have Oles. He in head office. What did he do? Overhauled the whole PT system recently this season. A lot
Yeah.
of work going into that.
Is he the one who's is he the one who's been making those deals? Making them deals with the other leagues?
Oh, I don't know who did that.
But like that whole thing is absolutely amazing to have.
And then
And
Sap has been doing a lot of stuff trying to get the Reddit and all. No, that was Rolly. What's Sap done?
I
Sap,
don't
where are you?
know.
What have you done?
What have you done?
Uh,
I'm trying to look around.
I know he's doing a lot of stuff with DSFL.
Yeah, I think it's mostly DSFL. That's why we haven't really heard anything about it. But I think isn't he also involved? Is he involved with grading? Because anyone involved with grading deserves most dedicated.
oh wait, I'm getting some stuff. He's the draft guy. Okay, Sap's the draft guy.
Oh, he's a draft
Yeah, all
guy.
right, draft
Draft
guy.
guy.
Good job. No, just because I don't know doesn't mean he's not doing anything. I'm
Yeah,
very aloof. So, all right, let's see what the people who actually know what they're talking about voted for.
he's slow. I'm bitchy. Working a ton behind the scenes. Yeah, DSFL draft and the awards last season, which I was unruly removed from. But
Fantastic. All right.
it's nice that he's yeah.
Anyways, 37th Chamber is our most dedicated member of the NSFL. Barely beat out Sap by one vote, so obviously a lot of people think he did do something. Just because I don't know that, don't mean shit.
Huh.
But 37th
Weird.
Chamber with all his wiki work, I can't deny that really did a lot
Yeah.
of good stuff.
It's an amazing project, and I kind of want to see it in other leagues as well, because I really like the idea of actually sitting there, and instead of doing it like as a media piece, and it's like, oh, you're trying to sound like a reporter or something, you're trying to give an interview. It's like, no, this is just a biography. and just explain their life. And I really like that.
That, and there's whole collections of kind of top stats on there, stats that aren't necessarily tracked in the index, career stats, that's kind of not in
Yeah.
the index. So there's going to be a lot of really cool features with that. Talks about kind of what the history of certain franchises are with their GMs, rebrandings, team movements, all that good stuff. So I'm really
And
excited
it's a
for that.
work in progress. And I really like that. And I don't think he's done much recently with it since like the whole launch thing, but I think that he's planning on doing some extra stuff with it. And I really like that.
Agreed. So good work to him. Well deserved. All right, this year, now we have the top NSFL quarterback. Three choices at the top of the board this year: Avon Bloxdale, Mike Boss, and Borkus Maximus. Of course, Mike Boss has won, what, four of these now? Honestly, I'm not sure. Did someone vote for him? Don't get me wrong, I love me some Mike Boss, but I don't think he really belongs in the conversation this year. I think this year
Not anymore. Not
it's these
anymore.
two guys. It's Bloxdale and Borkus. Those are your top two, and I don't.
We only have his we only have his name there because that's the name of this award. Because
Ha!
I, but yeah, Bloxdale and Borkus definitely are two big thing,
You know, if you
not thing
if you
quarterbacks.
look at just quarterback rating, Borkus Maximus beat out Avon Bloxdale by just a touch, just a little bit. But you dig a
Yeah,
little deeper, and it becomes a lot murkier on which one is going to win. Casey Colby put together some really cool articles. If you haven't read them yet, by all means go check them out. It's
he's obsessed with this.
total adjusted
He's
net
obsessed.
yards per attempt. I want to say is what it
He's
stands for.
obsessed with some girl named Tanya or
Yeah,
something like
Tanya.
that.
The Tanya articles. Check them out, man. They're really cool. One of the things that he came up with is that Avon Bloxdale is actually head and shoulders above everyone else because of how many sacks he took and or how many fumbles he had. Hitting with a little bit of that as well. So
I like this. Also, we kind of just brushed off about Boss, but he had the most completions and the most yards.
yeah, he's
So
always been a bit of a volume guy, so that's kind of always
yeah,
there. And then you got the issue, again with Mike Boss. I call this Mike Boss fatigue, where you've had someone win something so many times that if they aren't really head and shoulders above the rest, they really shouldn't even be in
you're
the
not going to give it
yeah,
to
they
him
shouldn't
again.
be in the conversation. And I don't, he got his 5,000 yards. It's like the seventh time he's done it in a row, whatever. And it was his
He's
last
got the
season, and
most
we're gonna
touchdowns,
miss him. He was
36
great,
touchdowns.
but again, I think it's Bloxdale and Maximus. It's these two. And you could go either
Yeah,
way with this. They both did really great. 12-2 in the regular season, 4,500 yards, both lots of touchdowns, great offenses. Both made the ultimates. So,
I'm gonna kind of say Borkus because he's right underneath Boss in all of these stats as well. So
all right, let's see what we got. I'm gonna go with Bloxdale, and it is Borkus Maximus by a nose.
just barely.
6 votes to 5. 1 vote for Mike Boss. Okay, that explains why he was up there. That's probably.
That's why.
Uh,
That's probably MP not paying attention. He's like, yeah, let's vote for
Yeah, he's
Boss.
on his way out, right? Great season by Bovo with his quarterback Borkus Maximus. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Took that team to the ultimates. We've talked about it enough. Um, couldn't do much better than that, and I'm excited to see more out of this guy. I mean, he is just starting to hit his stride and his peak. They did lose Justin Evans, but they picked up Alexander Clare. He is back on that team. Of course, he left during the Legion days, and I'm going to be excited to
Yeah,
see what these guys can put together in season 10. Bloxdale, he's starting to he's heading down that slope, and I feel bad. He's never won a quarterback of the year, but he's always been so good, just right at the top of that conversation. Just never enough to get right over the edge on the voters. I hate to say that this season or maybe season 10 might be his last chance
I'm gonna
at some
call it
glory.
like it is. He's Tony Romo.
Oh, ouch!
He's Tony Romo
Tony
or like
Romo.
Philip Rivers. So he's that quarterback that like you kind of know, and it's like, oh yeah, he's good, but he's not gonna win
How about
anything.
Drew Brees?
Yeah, we'll go
Drew
with that.
Brees. Okay.
Well, Drew Brees actually won
Yeah,
something.
he's never won an MVP though.
Well, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
But it's he's just that sort of player that's like, oh yeah, he's good. I know his name, but he's eh.
Yeah, well, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He ain't Tony Romo. All right, top running back. Um, these are the only two names you need to know right here. This is it.
Owen
Owen
Taylor
Taylor
and
and
Darren
Darren
Smallwood.
Smallwood. These two guys.
I think I think Baltimore and Nola are the only two teams that really like their rushing game anymore. Now that I think about it, like, do I know the name?
Oh,
This
come
is
on.
as
No, that's not
somebody
true and you
who,
know it. That is not true and you know it. We had
well, this is as somebody who, as I've said before, I don't watch the streams very much, so it's sort of like I'm kind of like the view of somebody who's actually in this universe who vaguely pays attention to the NSFL, but I can't. I don't think I can name the Outlaws running back.
Reg
I don't know
Mackworthy.
if I.
Reg
He's still
Mackworthy.
still there.
Yes, he's
He's
still
it's like
there. He's still active.
it's like LT with the Jets.
Dude,
Like,
the guy, and he's still doing. He got almost 1,500 yards. He was 1,497, 3 yards away from 1,500. Oh yeah, he's still out there running the ball. We
yeah,
actually had 7 running backs break 1,000 yards this season. Um,
that's nice to
yeah,
see
the only team that
as a
didn't
former
break,
running back.
the only team that didn't have a running back break 1,000 was the Yeti. That's because they split it between two.
But
Yeah,
combined,
they split it between two.
yeah,
I mean, that's
combined
fine.
with Crotch and Growl.
Exactly. Yeah, the Grow Crotch. Um, but the
Yeah,
the reason we're looking at these two, Smallwood with 1534 rushing yards and 27 rushing touchdowns, and Taylor with 1385 rushing yards and 23 rushing touchdowns. It's the
they
touchdowns.
had oh, they had almost double of any other player.
Yeah, it's the touchdowns.
Yates had 12, Rainey had 12, but yeah, 27 and 23. That's just above everyone else. They definitely those two teams are punching it in at the end of those drives.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, the big thing is Darren Smallwood broke the rushing yard record as well as the touchdown record for rushing touchdowns this season. I think he also caught 3 touchdowns, so he had like 30 touchdowns total this season. He had a couple receiving ones, and I think he had like another 500. I think he broke 2,000 yards this season. Actually, I'm pretty sure
Let me
he had
check here.
500 receiving.
Yeah, Smallwood had 3 receiving touchdowns, and let's see if I can find him quickly. And Owen Taylor had 1 receiving
How
touchdown.
many yards?
But yeah, Smallwood had 490 yards. Taylor had 395.
So there you go. Yeah, Smallwood
Receiving.
over 2,000 scrimmage yards and 30 touchdowns. Taylor with 24 touchdowns and was about 1,600. Both with about the same efficiency. But just based on that alone, I think it's going to be pretty obvious who they're going to pick here.
I think it's going to be Smallwood. It's definitely going to be Smallwood.
Yeah, there it is, 11-1. Darren Smallwood, running back of the year, the second time in a row. Really impressed with this guy because he was he was a wide receiver for a little bit, changed to a running back. He was in San Jose for a while. Never really blew a lot of people away. Then he comes out, he's going to test
Yeah,
free agency. He's not looking for money. He's looking for, stats, and he wants to win an Ultimus. He goes to New Orleans. Some teams famously didn't even pitch him. Some, talk to him for a little bit and say, we're gonna pass. We don't want you. Good luck. And he goes there and just explodes on the scene. I mean, he's won an MVP. This is his second running back of the year. He's won an offensive
yeah.
player of the year.
I remember having his name in as breakout player of the year a little while ago. So yeah, I mean he's just exploded into this amazing player.
Yeah, and this is no young player. He's been doing this for a while, and now he got into it. So great job by Smallwood, and still a great job by Owen Taylor. I really like that Baltimore
Yeah,
offense and what he's able to do there. And that's a guy who switched from defensive end, 2 seasons at defensive end, and he's already a running back and doing very well. He's actually got the most total yards per season in the league. That's Owen Taylor
and
with over
I guess
1,600.
I have to before we leave. I guess I have to apologize to Reg Mackworthy, even though my player after my next player is going to be Meg Rackworthy, according to you.
Yeah, it was just a slip. That's it.
Yeah,
All right, top tight end. We got a familiar name on here. I have a feeling that this award is eventually going to be named after this individual, Paul DeMirio. Just always out there, always killing it in yards, touchdowns. He was on Philadelphia for a long, long time. Ended up getting traded to NOLA for a fourth-round pick. I don't know what Philadelphia was thinking with that one. And then we have the young
he's
up-and-comer, Verso Alto for Baltimore. I think they spelled his first name wrong. I don't think it's Verso, is it?
I gotta check now. Well, I can't see in the I can't see in the index, so that's a no for me,
We'll
Bob.
call it right. So between these two guys, very good. And tight end, it's a tough position to really to excel at. In our league, a tight end, they're not going to get a lot of yards per catch. They're going to do some blocking. They're going to do some receiving. They can't really play a whole lot outside, but they can a little bit. Demirio got more yards, 900 compared to Alto's just shy of 700. Got twice the touchdowns. So definitely the efficiency was there, the volume was there. Did very well on that aspect of it. As far as the blocking goes, Demirio 30 pancakes, 1 sack allowed, and Alto 47 pancakes, 1 sack allowed. So Alto was definitely the road grader. He may not have been the pure receiver, but he was a bit
Yeah,
more of that kind of balanced tight end and got a lot done in the blocking game. 47 pancakes is a big deal.
Demir is the sort of player that is just you'd know. Once again, I'm going with like this is the sort of thing that's reputation wise, uh, it's a sort of difference between like someone like Greg Olson, I guess, or Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis is the sort of player that you see receiving all the catches and all of that. He's an amazing
Yeah, in
receiver.
2008.
Yeah, in 2008. Well, all my references are old right now. But then you've got Versal Alto, who is more of that tight end who is going to be that blocker who's going to actually help the team in as many ways as possible, not just as a receiver. But Demirio is just all now just head and shoulders as that receiver, even better than what he would be if he was more of a blocker,
Yeah,
I
yeah, two
guess.
two very good guys, very good pieces for their teams. It's this Nola Baltimore game all day long. So there we go. Our winner, Paul Demirio, tight end of the year, 10-2. How many has he won now? I don't even know. Someone help me out in
all
Twitch
of
chat.
them except for all of them except for the one that Princess Kylie won.
Kyle, Princess Kyle.
Yeah,
So you're telling me Paul
yes.
Demirio has won 8 of these? Was he a season 2 draftee?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
I
Hey, someone
I,
in Twitch
I think
chat.
it
It's
was
your
season
job.
2.
Someone go find out. How many has he won? Great career, great guy. Everyone likes working with numbers. He's doing fantastic. I think.
Yeah, I used to work with him.
Oh, all right. I think this is. Is it? Did he
I used to
retire?
do stuff. I don't not yet.
Okay,
Yeah, he didn't win it in season 2. He first won it in season 3 and then he's gotten it since then.
got it.
Season 2 was Ricky Maddox
Ah,
of the
yeah.
Yellowknife
The goat
Rakes.
TEDE. Yeah, he switched to defensive end close after that. I remember that. All right, top wide receiver. Uh, yeah, tight race here. We got votes for Carlito Crush and Carlito Crush.
Yeah, it's obvious who's the best. Except, maybe I don't know. I was hoping that I could get a sympathy vote. Fine.
Well, yeah, your player did very well in terms of efficiency, like yards per catch, that sort of thing. So there were a lot of good receivers, even though Carlito Crush just stood out because again, most yards, most catches, and most touchdowns. The touchdowns significantly, he broke the touchdown record with 17. Next closest was 11. There on that efficiency argument, he got 15.3 yards per catch. There were some really efficient wide receivers who got a lot done with a little bit lower volume. So Trey
I had my
Willie, yeah,
16.7.
Trey Willie,
Yeah, Trey Willie had
17.1.
17.1.
8 touchdowns, very good. Howard Miller, 17.5, 6 touchdowns. And you also got to consider, how many, what do these guys look like as far as, how much of their total uh, receiving production did this receiver account for? In terms of Orange County, there's over 5,000 receiving. Maybe Carlito Crush wasn't as large of a percentage as something like, let's say, a Howard Miller. On their offense, where they passed for 4,500, he was almost a third. So there's a lot of different ways you can go with this, and I think some guys, even though they're not recognized and didn't get votes, there were some really good receivers with great years, and I'm excited to see kind of what some of these other guys can do in the next couple of years. And
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with next year. I mean, we're seeing this year right now, just looking at wide receivers because I'm on the page. We've got 3 of the top 5 are with Orange County, and now next year, one of them is staying with Orange County, the other one is off to Yellowknife, and the other one is retired. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that affects Orange County and how that affects the rest of the league to see what other wide receivers come up.
why does Twitch chat want me to do the voice of my half-orc barbarian? No.
I don't even have a character. I'm sad now.
All right, there's your winner, guys. Carlito Crush, wide receiver of the year, 12 votes. Everyone got it. Great year by this guy. One of the best we've seen in a long time since, maybe season 5 Westfield, season 6 Westfield, something like that. Really good stuff. Very, very proud to have him as a teammate.
And up next, we've got defensive back of the year.
Yeah, another tight race here.
Very tight. You know what? I think that Mark Spector's going to win this. Just Just a wild guess that Mark Spector's gonna win this.
Don't get me wrong, I love Spector. He's always been a great teammate. Lavelle, fantastic season, 8 interceptions, 28 pass deflections, 76 tackles. That's a lot. Of course, as a corner, you don't always want tackles because that means people are catching the ball. But let's be honest, in
Yeah,
our sim, that's going to happen. You need to be able to make the tackles, especially because you can get carried, you can get your ankles broke, and they just run away. And your safety's got to make the tackle. You don't want that to happen. So he was able to do all of that. Did a great job for the Raids. But
and he's also on the offensive end. I mean, sure, this is D-back stuff, but on the offensive end, he's
he is
got
very offensive. You're right.
618 yards. He's a very offensive
Very
person as
offensive.
well.
Yeah.
But he's got 6 touchdowns, 618 yards, 37 receptions. I mean, I remember back when I was a cornerback playing at wide receiver, but I mean, I remember when I said that I wanted to do that, and then Dermot said, no, it's horrible. You don't do well on either side, but it looks like he's doing well on both sides here.
Yeah. Yeah. Dermot definitely does well when he plays both ends, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
There were
and
some other good guys, even though they may not have been mentioned. You mentioned Mark Spector had a very good season. Antoine Delacour, always a great defensive back, led the league in pass deflections with 30, got a pick six, 4 interceptions. Dermot, of course, beat the crap out of him in terms of interceptions. And then we've got
you got
Ryan Flock.
Fly,
Ryan
Andre
Flock
Bly.
killed it.
Oh,
7 interceptions, 2 of them he took for 6. And he got a TFL.
oh yeah, you're looking down at safeties. I was up somewhere else.
It's all good. Yeah, great performances by a lot of D-backs, and that's a really tough position to play. That is a team player.
Yeah, it's a gut wrenching position to play.
Yeah, you got to be a team player. Got to be a high earner. You don't want to throw an inactive in there. So
And you got to be okay with not knowing how good you actually are.
yeah, so great job, Dermot. Did very good there. Is that really who he uses for his render?
Well, he said that he uses the only white cornerback in NFL, so
That's not a corner. Okay, that works. I think it's probably just for the colors. Kind of makes those race colors.
yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely Christian McCaffrey. That's a running back.
yeah.
Okay.
I said that, and then I looked at it, I was like, wait, no, that's not.
He probably could be a corner. He's
Yeah, why not? Put him there. Why
there you
not?
go.
Go NSFL with him. And here we got another tight race.
Linebacker.
Woo!
I'm actually surprised that he got all the votes, and of course, like I said, defense, especially linebacker, is so hard to judge because there are just so many different stats you can get. Which stats more important than the other ones, and
Yeah,
some guys, and I've done this in the past. I know actually this guy here, Mason Brown, Firebread, was doing this, where you kind of do some math calculations. If sack is worth 5 tackles and a TFL is worth maybe 2 tackles, blah 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 blah, and you use that to kind of get some points and help you rate it. And he did show up very high in a lot of those. Um,
I thought that he was just skewing the data, but apparently he's really good.
yeah, and of course, I don't want to leave out Boss Tweed. Boss Tweed has always been
Yeah,
a really great player. He finished with the most sacks of all the linebackers this season, 15 sacks, 99 tackles, and 6 pass deflections. Not a ton, but pretty
can I
good.
mention a real dark horse?
Is it Austin
Luke
Ronick?
Tiernan. No, Luke
Luke
Tiernan.
Tiernan.
He had 4 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery, which is as many as Mason Brown had. He only had 95 tackles. He didn't do any interceptions. He only got like 2 pass deflections, but he's got
But he got the fumbles.
weirdly, yeah, he's got those.
He
He's
got
got
the
like the
fumbles.
important stuff, the important part of playing defense. He's got the
Yeah,
turnovers.
Austin Ronick, Leafers player as well, really great season. 92 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 11 sacks, 12 pass deflections. So a lot of good linebackers. But this year, it's Mason Brown, 130 tackles, led the league. So you can't look past that. 6 turnovers, like we said, 10 pass deflections. He did it all. He was all over the damn play. He did better than me. And I mean, I may be a little biased, but I think that's pretty good.
Congratulations, Toasty.
Indeed. All right, top NSFL defensive lineman. So
Now we got a
this
party.
is the good stuff. This was a tough one. This is really close. Dan Miller, obviously, he led the league in sacks. For defensive lineman, that's the number one stat. He had 19 sacks. Godfrey King was number two, also tied for that with 19 sacks. Miller had a couple more tackles, had a couple tackles for
And you got to
loss,
remember,
and King had
and you
the
got to
2 forced fumbles. I know what you're getting here. Go for it.
Yeah.
I know what you're getting at.
And you got to take into consideration with that is that he broke records this season, or at least
Record.
a
He broke
record,
record.
a major record that like 9 sacks. I don't even know anybody in the chat here. Can you tell me about what if he broke like the actual NFL record? Because that sounds pretty close to it. Because that's a
In a
whole
game?
lot
Oh
of
yeah,
sacks.
that's definitely
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
whole lot of sacks.
Um, so there's that aspect of it, and here's what I thought you were getting at. When it comes to at least rating these two guys and their sack production being tied, how much do you take into consideration that Dan Miller got 9 of those in one game? Like, did he really do that great all season, or did he have one crazy game where Philly had a terrible game plan and they just he managed to tear him apart, whereas Godfrey King was a little
I
bit
hadn't even
more
thought of that.
Godfrey King was a little bit more stable, and then of course we got these other two guys. We can't ignore these other two guys.
Nah, I'm gonna ignore Arbin.
Our
Uh,
Mississippi obviously is considered by at least one head office member to be the greatest simulation football player of
Player
all
of all
time.
time.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
least one
all
head
time.
office member thinks that.
At least one,
So you can't discount that. And he
of
did have a very
course.
good season. And he had some really interesting, just kind of single game performances. I don't remember which game was it. Um, was it the Ultimus? No, I think it was a playoff game when they beat the Yeti, where Mississippi had like a sack, fumble, recovery for touchdown, or something, something along that line.
Let me go find it. He's with the Hawks, right?
Mississippi is with the Hawks, yes.
Yep.
And then Kurt Hendricks, this defensive end, old GM for the Hawks. He also got 17 sacks, just 2 behind those other two guys. Got more tackles at 64, got some tackles for a loss, so all very close together. Now, he's a defensive end, but inside secret, he played at defensive tackle this season. Just one of those things I know.
Yeah. Trade secret.
Yep, trade secret.
But yeah, that's actually what you brought up a little bit earlier about King versus Miller. I didn't even think of that. That yeah, 9 of those were within one game, and it's about being. And in order to be the top performer of the season, you got to be the best all season,
Or, yeah,
not just
or
in
a
one
lot of
game.
it, yeah. So let's see what
Yeah,
our voters did. We got Godfrey King. So this was a close one. You could see King and Miller right there neck and neck. Hendricks with a couple as well. Mississippi with one. So
that's probably one head office member.
I don't think that head office member was in head office in time
No.
to vote for that person who's widely considered by one person to be the greatest Sim League player of all time.
But yeah, I think the head off the awards committee probably agreed with us with that sentiment that you mentioned about how King was performing all season and was able to get all of them instead of just a bunch in one
He
game.
also forced 2 turnovers
Yeah, well that too.
and recovered one of them.
We got to talk
Yeah,
about turnovers. I like turnovers.
everyone likes turnovers except the guy who drops the ball.
Yeah.
So great job, but a lot of good defensive line play, and I tell you, we have got some stud defensive line prospects coming up. Not this season. There's like 1 or 2 this season. The Lorax
I wasn't even looking at
for
those yet.
season 10, and the other one, I don't remember what Wally's defensive end player is. And then we've got season 11, a ton just came in. A lot of defensive
Yeah,
ends, defensive tackles. Evans or Zach is making one.
and I recognize most of those names
Yeah.
too. So that's going to be a bunch of active players. You got football Sackerman. We're talking about the draft now, but it's a nice ad in the middle of the awards show to talk about. Show up for the draft and watch it because this is the DSFL draft here.
Mm-hmm.
You got Will Foster, that's Evans. Curtis Saul, that's Evok. You got football Sackerman by Trella. Danny Methane, who I think I remember him
He's an SHL
earlier.
and
I
score.
remember.
He's in a few leagues. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got Rabid with Kwame Abayomi Banefo, which.
All right. Okay, we're gonna move on real quick. I actually just realized time has been getting away from us, man. Okay.
Yeah. This is fun.
Yeah, we're having a good time. Top kicker, Aya Blewett for NOLA and Mycicle McCormick. So Aya Blewett, this was his last season. This is Rabbit Sponge. He did retire and recreate. So
that's what we were talking about with
previous
that.
first-round pick, played San Jose for a while, and now helped kick NOLA to the win. I think he had the perfect season, didn't he? Wasn't he 100%? 100%?
I gotta see. I believe. Let's see. 100% here and Yeah, 100%
There you
everywhere.
go. Yeah, that's a tough one to beat. Um,
That's what's gonna get
and
it.
then McCormick. McCormick was also 100% on field goals
Field
though. He
goals, yeah.
was. He missed I think one or two extra points. It happens, but still both great guys, really good kickers. Yeah, I think we know where this is going though.
We know where this is going because I'm looking at the stats right here. I Blew It had hit all 12 of his 40 to 49-yard field goals.
That's
He
a big
hit
deal.
three 50-yarders,
Yeah,
50-yard plusers. I mean, it's just that's him.
great stuff. Great stuff by both of them. Top punter. I forgot we did this. I guess this is
I love it.
so a couple of the same names, and this is mostly just about I probably who averaged the longest or who dropped inside the 20 the most. McCormick with a
Well, I mean,
48.3 average, dropped 15 of his 86 inside the 20.
I also want to mention again. You remember the dominant era of Cristiano Ronaldo. That
Couldn't forget.
my yeah. I mean, it's just that's how good. That's how much a punter means. If you got a really good punter, that's I wouldn't say he gets a lot of credit, but he's got a pretty good amount of credit for that dominant Outlaws team because he was able to put you way back there. And so what we've got McCormick here. Michael McCormick had a 72-yard long average. Averaged a 48-yard punt, which was the most of anyone. He had 4,000 plus yards in punting. So that's a massive amount of space from here to there. And I think that I don't know that might win it. That might be what wins it. You also got Dean Jackson with 47.4 yards average and 17 inside the 20 with a 76-yard long, which was the longest punt. I mean,
Could go anywhere.
those are some
Yeah.
great punting.
I'm saying I got to give it to McCormick. Let's see.
Yeah,
Oh, we have a tie. McCormick and
we're gonna
Dean
split the
Jackson.
crown.
Okay, fair enough. Dean Jackson dropped a few more inside the 20, pretty close average. McCormick just with that big booming leg. Great job by both of them. Good guys.
Yeah,
I like them both. Top returner.
I think you know what. I think it's gonna be a split decision between Tegan Atwell and Mark Spector.
I think it's gonna be Dermott.
Well, let's see who wins.
So, just in terms of kind of looking at these guys, I mean, we know who's going to win here. Dermott got
Yeah,
3 punt return touchdowns. I mean, that's about as
yeah, that's
yeah.
just a lot.
That's pretty good. And then his average kick return was 28.8, very high, especially for someone who did as many attempts at that as he did. And his punt return average was the highest, 11.6, and that's the harder one to do. So,
Yeah,
good job, Dermott. You did it again. Very good season for him so far. That's 2 awards he's managed to rack up. And now we get to Defensive Player of the Year. We've talked about these guys plenty. Dermott, cornerback, a lot of interceptions, 8 of them. Actually, he had probably the best cornerback season of all time this season with his 28 pass deflections and 8 interceptions. That's pretty much the best of all time. You can go back and look at the previous indexes if you don't believe me. No one really dominated that much at both of those. And of course, talked about Mason Brown. Didn't jump out on a lot of stats, particularly like sacks, but was kind of the everything guy and forced a lot of turnovers. I got to give it to Dermott here.
yeah, Dermott, and also I was about to mention his offensive contributions, but no, this is strictly defense. This isn't like D-back of the year where that's just his position, and sometimes he plays elsewhere. This is strictly
Yeah,
defensive, and he just still has everything.
he does. Great player. One of the best of all time. So there it is. Awards committee agreed, but actually this is closer than I expected. 7-5. This is a lot closer than I expected. But I gotta agree. Dermott's the guy. I think Mason Brown is up and coming. I think he's got a chance of getting one of these years. But this is Dermott's year.
Yep.
Third award. All right, Offensive Player of the Year: Carlito Crush and Darren Smallwood, 2 guys we talked about a ton already. Carlito Crush, one of the best wide receiver seasons we ever seen with the Triple Crown. Darren Smallwood didn't get the Triple Crown, but pretty darn close. Broke a couple different records. Second all-time performance to get 2,000 scrimmage yards in one season, 30 touchdowns. That's never happened. So this
Honestly, I think it is very close though
this could
because
go anyway.
both of them had such a dominant season.
Yeah, this could go
I
anyway.
mean,
You could argue, some negative things about both, some red flags, if you will. Carlito Crush, could he be a product of volume? Otters pass more than
yeah,
anyone else. Darren Smallwood, could he be a product of that? that 99% rush that they do on the goal line. If they're on the goal line, they're feeding it to Smallwood. And I think
Yeah,
I looked at, I think like 20, I don't remember, it was 20 some odd touchdowns of his were from within 2 yards. Does that count against him? Does it not? I don't really know. I think you could make arguments.
touchdowns are touchdowns, I
Yeah,
guess, but it's also, well, it's just the person you give the ball to.
I think you could argue both ways on where this could go and give reasons for both, but either way, you can't go wrong with this choice. Both good guys. And it is Darren Smallwood, second time in a row. So this is
I am surprised by that vote total there.
11
11-1.
to one. Hey, you know
Wow.
what? The voters they wanted Smallwood, and I can't
Yeah.
fault them. I love Carlito Crush's season, but I gotta love this guy's season too. 2,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. That's a hell of an offensive piece. Your offense is running through that guy.
Yeah.
Great job for Darren Smallwood. Most outstanding player of the year. This is obviously the player voted one. So all the players, going, everyone gets a vote. We had a lot of interesting votes. There were a few fun ones out there. A couple people with one vote. Uh,
Logan Noble got a
Logan
vote.
Noble
I
did get a
like
vote.
that.
Yeah,
He was honestly, I think he should be considered for how absolutely terrible he was this season. I think that like it's worthy of an award. I really think that we should have an award for him specifically.
So we got Avon Bloxdale, Carlito Crush, Darren Smallwood, and Aya Blewett. I mean, we've talked about all four of these guys a lot. Avon Bloxdale, really, really great season for a quarterback. Protected the ball a ton, really moved that offense, very efficient. Carlito Crush, caught everything
As we
yeah, he
said,
caught everything he threw his way. Darren Smallwood, holy crap, is that guy a goal line back or what? Um,
and then Aya blew it with his perfect season
yeah,
and was just amazing kicking, which I really like how much love the NSFL and DSFL gives kickers because it's something you don't see very often, but they're people.
kickers are people.
It's
They are
weird.
people.
Kickers are people.
Simulation people. Darren.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh,
Oh, we've already got up, but I forgot to mention that Zobak got a vote as
yeah,
well, and I think
Zobot
that
did
should
get
be
a
mentioned.
vote. But Darren Smallwood, congratulations again. So this is his second time getting most outstanding, I want to say. He got 11 votes. Bloxdale very close with 8. Carlito Crush with 6. Aya Blewett with 3. Um, great job, all these guys. Really good seasons. Really excited to see what these guys do next year. Except Aya Blewett, he's done. No mas.
Yep, he's gone. Now for MVP voted by the committee. I usually like to say that the that previous Outstanding Player Award is the true MVP because it's voted by the people, but this is voted by the committee, and we've got pretty much the same names up here, except I think a certain head office member added themselves.
No, actually, I can tell you, I'm privy to some head office chat. Dermot, it was his GM Zerkap was really pulling for him a lot. Um,
Okay,
and there is a case for him. A lot of it is because he's kind of got that two-way thing going on, where he was doing really well on offense, defense, and special teams too.
yeah, really just a three-tool player, I guess that you can say. I mean, you usually use that in baseball, but it's a three-tool player.
Yeah. And given, of course, that we know offensive player of the year was Darren Smallwood, and defensive player of the year is Dermot Lavelle, I would think it's probably going to be between one of those two, unless Aya Blewett wins it all. I would think it's going to go to one of those two since they already won offensive and defensive. I don't think we've ever seen those split before.
I think that God, it's gonna. I think it might be Crush.
It depends on
It could be
what do you
Crush.
determine to be most valuable. If you think about the person that really gives the most value to their team, and no one else could have done what they did, I
Yeah, I
Avon
guess I guess that does
Avon Bloxdale.
that does.
How many other people can do what he did? Um,
Well, then I guess if you put it that way specifically, that might mean that it would be between Smallwood and Lavelle, and Lavelle didn't do as much as Smallwood because Smallwood is just the running game is him. With Crush, he's got Boss throwing to him. With Bloxdale, he's throwing two receivers. Smallwood does everything himself. So I guess if you want to put it in that spin that it's the most valuable player to their team, it would be Smallwood then. But
I don't know. Any way it could go.
we'll see.
I know who I want. Let's see what we got. There you go. Carlito
Aha!
Crush. That's a tight race. It was really looking at the votes. It was between Crush and Smallwood. We got one vote for Dermot. I'm going to guess that was from Yellowknife's GM. One vote for Bloxdale. I think I know who did that one. Uh,
and 1 vote for Blewett, which
Who
we
cares?
don't care who that
Yeah, good
was,
job.
but we love that person.
1 vote for the MVP. You know, a kicker won the MVP in the NFL in 1982.
Yeah,
That was also,
great, really?
yeah, kicker won an MVP in
I, I,
1982.
I was trying to think who it was.
He was the Washington Redskins kicker. I don't remember his name. It was, of course, the year of the lockout, but it has happened.
Ah,
Yep, great job, Carlito Crush, MVP. I think this is the first time we've seen a wide receiver win the MVP. So history is being
I
made.
think I think we've seen it
No, we
before.
haven't.
I don't know.
No, always running backs or
It sounds like the
quarterbacks.
sort of position.
Running backs, quarterbacks, and defensive players.
All right, so we can move on to the Pro Bowl. We gotta wrap
Yeah.
this up soon because my battery's dying on my laptop.
10-4. Pro Bowl, yeah, it's here. I don't really want to read out all the names. A lot of really good players.
I can read out the names as fast as I
No, let's
can.
not.
Oh God, those names are
Yeah, we're
small.
not going to read them
Those
out.
names are small.
People did a good job. If you made the Pro Bowl, congratulations. We're going to post these up so you can see what you did. NFC Pro Bowl, same thing. Lot of good performance, a lot of really good players, things we're excited about. So we'll post these online. You'll be able to see them and see if you made it.
I'm just gonna mention that I did see Tegan Outwell on the ASFC, so that's
Good
nice.
stuff.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
We finally got people who made the Hall of Fame. So
Two
that's nice.
people. So we've been voting now. Hall of Fame basically once I think I don't know if there's a hard requirement or not, but once you've been retired for more than a year, you're eligible to be Hall of Fame ballot. I think we've had 2 ballots so far with no one win. We had a couple people get some votes, 1 or 2, but no one's made it in so far. We have 2 entries into the Hall of Fame this year.
One of them is by a landslide there. Wait, I do not. I did not see if you have stuff pulled up
No,
yet, so I'm just gonna
yeah,
wait
we'll
to
go
say
ahead
it.
and do it. So
I
here's
really
the
like.
ballot. I like that I put the ballot on there.
Yeah, I really like that Felipe Carter did get some votes because let's just say, yes, they were involved in the Legion mass retirement, but they were pretty good before he retired.
Yeah. So even Ian Babbitt's 15 of 15, unanimous Hall of Fame. One of our first entries into the Hall of
Yeah,
Fame is
of course.
unanimous. And King Bronco, 13 of 15. 2 people didn't vote for him. That's not very nice.
I'm kind of surprised that that 2 people didn't vote for him because he was absolutely dominant as a QB. He did lean a lot on the rest of the team, but really, it's just
Well, no, he just didn't have to do as much because he had that defense.
yeah, that amazing
Yeah.
defense. But he played wide receiver. He started out playing wide receiver, even though he was a quarterback. He was playing wide receiver and did well there, and then he moved back to quarterback.
Yeah, second all time in yards as of this season, even though he didn't play this season, still second of all time. I want to say 28,000 yards. Holds the record for the most touchdowns in a season with 44, and holds the record for the most accurate season of all time. I want to say he threw for 67%.
I think we've got it pulled up right
You've got it
here.
pulled up. I
I
sent it
just
to
need
you.
to look at it. Let's see what the percentage. Yeah, he threw for 87% in his first season though, but he only had like 8 attempts.
No, I want to. It was his last season that he finished with like a 67%.
Yeah, 67.8% was his last season.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
You said 87 and I saw
no,
87 and that was like
67.
8 attempts.
And
Yeah.
and of course, 3-time Ultimate champion. Wow, great career.
Three-time Ultimate champion with asterisks, but
No. They won. So great job by King Bronco. Glad to see him enshrined permanently in the Hall of Fame. Of course, Ian Babbitt's teammate of mine, linebacker for a few years, switched to free safety for a couple years as well. Also, 3-time Ultimate champion, one Defensive Player of the Year. I want to say season 8. Had like I don't know 7 interceptions and 10 sacks or something ridiculous like that. Always really strong performing player. You've got the stats up there. I think he's like top 10 in tackles and top 10 in sacks, all that. Kind of one of those everything guys. Did a little bit of it all, but was always a cornerstone of a very strong defense in Orange County.
yeah, I mean, these two are very much deserving. And looking at the list of the people who are moving on to the next ballot,
Just one.
you've got Oles on there.
No.
Oh, just one.
If
Okay.
you are in that reddish color there, they are not moving on. I'm sorry, Tyler Oles. He did have.
I have an outdated thing then. I have an outdated presentation.
Oh,
I'm
no,
looking at.
Oles. He is ineligible. Unless I might have colored this wrong. I did change the color at the last second. because it was
Yeah.
really hard to read. Okay, so I'm getting confirmation from Dwyer that I just don't know my colors, and I changed him when I shouldn't. He is moving on, so Oles is eligible for the next ballot to be voted on next year to potentially go in. He had a very good season, cornerback for the first couple years of his season, switched to quarterback, and did win an Ultimus. Was I think he was Defensive Player of the Year at one point, so kind of a bit of a two-way player. Did very good job there, and Philippe Carter, when he retired after I think season 8 was his last season. At the time when he retired, he was leading the league in pass deflections. Little known fact. So was a very
Yeah,
good
just
coverage
one
corner.
of the yeah, just like while they were active, just
Yeah,
amazing.
just recreated too.
Yeah.
So pretty good stuff.
So,
Sharpay, Muford is asking about Sharpay, and he will be on the ballot for next year.
okay.
Yeah. So sorry, Muford.
So as so it looks like we're wrapping this up. So yeah, two deserving players and all of these players that have won the awards tonight, as we've kind of explained throughout with all the stats, they are deserving. And it looks like Dwyer is telling me that I'm fired. So yeah, we're done, right?
I think we are done. So thank you, Jiggly, for joining me, and thank you, Dwyer and TLK, for putting together this awesome presentation. Couldn't have done it without your work here. Thank you all guys for coming in and watching and chatting with us in Twitch chat. Uh, Tune in. We got two drafts coming up in just a couple of days. NSFL draft, DSFL draft. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a blast. Get to see where all these young new players are going, and we're going to be excited.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, and we will see you in a couple of days.